So, welcome everyone. Tonight we are gathering together for yet another Virtual Wisdom Council call. It's Wednesday, April 23rd, and our topic tonight is being present and what it means to truly be present. Before we dive in and I'll get started, I just want to let you know about what we've got on the calendar coming up. On May 3rd and 4th, I believe those are the right dates. Yeah, May 3rd and 4th, we have the next seasonal chill class. So if you have been to the Sacred Center before, either through the intro or another seasonal class, you're very welcome to join either in person or online. If you have not yet started your studies at the Sacred Center, we have just introduced a brand new way to get started, and that is with a one-on-one intro session with Elle. That includes both an individualized healing and also some conversation about what Chumpi illumination really is. It's a great chance to ask some questions and to really understand how this work can support you. And in addition, you also get a free copy of the book and the cards. So that's on the website, sacredcenter.net, as is the class. And also, there's a couple of spots left for the Peru journey coming up in September, which again is on the website. And the registration deadline is coming up in May. So if you've been thinking about the trip, now is a great time to reach out to Eleanor with any questions you may have and to get your deposit in. So with that as an intro, shall we get started in being present?
I think, did we mention the spring class?
I
Oh,
did. Yeah,
yeah,
May 3rd and 4th. Yep.
right. If anybody has taken classes before, you could jump in and every there the classes, the way they've been going, and especially now, every class is an entity unto itself. It's very much an experiential class, but you do walk away understanding a lot more. And actually, being present is a big part of the whole thing. It's an interesting topic. I really didn't prepare for it very much in terms of ideas. I thought of my own self, and well, of course, now in particular, just from a lot of my clients, the main subject is scattered. What do I do first? Is that the right thing to do? Distractions, the backdrop of bad news, nothing you can do about it. It's just like the backdrop of noise, of talk, of constantly looking at your phone. Everything that will distract us from the presence of now. So it seems like, like a really important, I'm not going to say subject, it's an important embodiment download that we should start anyway. And I think it's kind of an advanced healing in a way, an advanced state of being. I don't think there's no way you could teach this really. Some of the tried and true ways are like meditation. Of course, I put on, when I wrote it, it was like, be here now. That was like Ram Dass back in, I don't know, the 70s or something. He wrote this entire book about being here now, and that was the whole key. He had done a lot of psychedelics, and in the psychedelics that he took, he was in the present moment, but of course he realized that when he didn't take the psychedelics, he wasn't. So it didn't really get him anywhere in the long. So then he just stayed in India, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think back at myself, I think it's one of the keys to practicing a higher state of consciousness. By higher, I mean where you're not trapped in the 3D world and you keep bouncing around the walls and everything is the same and you can't get out of your own way and you don't know what to eat anymore and all of this kind of stuff. And when I think about my first trip to Peru back in 1990s, when I decided to take the journey to the mountains, of 15,000 feet. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. And it was, at that time, it was a 6 day trip to get to 15,000 feet to meet the Keto indigenous ones who lived up there. And like I had no idea what I was doing. I said, yes, yes. And then they put me on a horse. And I was like, oh no, what? A horse. And the first 3 days were going on really literally sides of mountains where the drop was like extreme on one side. And I had no idea. I never rode a horse. I rode a horse like for fun in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, but never took lessons, didn't know how. And, needless to say, it was really an embodiment of being present because to allow the horse to carry me and me like surrender to the moment, moment by moment by moment, was the only way I could describe actually arriving there. And after a few times in Peru, I got to be an expert horse rider. Is that the right word? Only because I let the horse do everything. That's it. Because the horse is, a horse is in charge. And it was like that all, like again and again and again, being in places at that altitude and not being able to walk. And, one of the guides said, well, the Pachamama, the earth will carry you, Mrs. The earth carries us. I was like, what? The earth carries us. And so, walking up and can't breathe. And all of a sudden, the surrender to the now, the present, allowed me to walk at that altitude. There was a lot of people that were that had to go back down, because we had no preparation, had no business being at that altitude. But of course, that was just like, some of the examples I give myself for how to be in the now, being in places that you don't know what you don't know, and then having to eat what they cook, and having to be in a situation that you didn't prepare for. And what I witnessed, I'm using my trips as an example because it's a good example. And I witnessed over the years where, me included, where meeting places that are uncomfortable, there's always the fear. Well, there's the fear of what you could eat and what you can't eat. And there's always the fear of where you're going to sleep. Always the fear of how cold you're going to be. And all of these external projections of fear, sort of even out over time when you surrender to the moment and you allow yourself to be in the present moment and make a connection. You become your environment, and your environment then becomes you. And so it's just, an example of it. And I thought we could do a simple, actually being present allows you to be, a lot of the work in the Sacred Center is all about this. It's about, opposing forces. Well, I like this, but I don't know if I like it that much. So, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Should I surrender here? Am I afraid? And so this duality that is part of our life, gets healed or surrendered to a place in the middle. And that non-dualistic place allows us to be in two places at once. And it allows us to invite a third choice. And it also, there's a lot going on in my head about this, because also in our culture, we've been taught to contract when we're afraid of something. So if we walk into a place that's unfamiliar, energetically we contract, and we sort of protect ourselves because we're unfamiliar with, say, a big mall or a neighborhood or traffic or anything, family, Christmas with the family, whatever it is. We go like this to protect ourselves, and that's exactly the opposite of what we should be doing. We should be, building up our core, our center, which is a place of the present moment. And in the present moment, the nervous system tells you what's what, right? Rather than your mind choosing out of the past, out of your experiences in your life. And so it's a big step. Being present is, it's a simple thing to talk about, but it's like huge. It's a huge evolutionary step to be present. I mean, like yogis spend their whole life being present, right? So what I do know is that now's the moment that it won't be, it's accessible. So, and in our advanced class, actually, this was the theme. It was, I forget what it was. Sue, do you remember what it was? Knowing the present or no? Marisa?
Knowing presence.
Yeah, because I go through lists. I try in the classes, and especially the advanced class. I try not to create a lesson. I try to let the lesson and me create together, so I go down these lists, and that's knowing presence, right? And it was a really interesting. It was. I think it's the beginning of what we all need. We all are being guided to embody right now. Um, Denise, do you? Oh, Denise hikes. She's a hiker. That's a way to be present, right?
Absolutely. Anytime in nature typically, yeah, takes me out of the chatter and the scattered, just the reacting to the, continuous bombardment of, information and thoughts, and the way I found it, yeah, the profound, it just gets me out of all of that. Anytime spent in nature.
Right.
Mm.
Right. I want you to try like a little meditation now where you have an object in front of you. It could be anything, a stone, and just kind of like look at the object and kind of become the object, like like find out what it's about, the object, like just focus only on the object and what the object, the texture of it, what it does, like the center of it, the core of it. Just like, let's take like maybe, it could be anything, a book, it could be a glass, it could be anything, a stone. And let's just take a moment to see what that's like. So the observer and the object become one. The seer and the seen become one. And did you find it easy to become the object, Sue?
I did. I found it easy. I had a stone, right? And at first it was like observing the stone, and then before I knew it, I felt like I was in the stone. And then it's almost like I could feel where the stone was, and I don't know. It just had a merging.
It's a simple thing, but it's very profound actually. And sometimes, I mean, some sometimes using an object is a really good practice rather than meditation and the breath. Because it's the breath is very like it's not a thing. But actually, I know what you're talking about. I was looking at my pillow. So the pillow comes from India. It became the pillow. It has sequins in it on it, and then I started to kind of see the women like sewing the sequins on the pillow. But then I went back to just being the pillow, and and there was a lot to be present for with the object. You know, good to do it. You could do it with a tree. Certainly, if you have chumpies, it's a great way to get to know the chumpies on this level. You could read what the chumpies are about, in the description, but merging with it, being present with, and start to use terminology is like very profound, actually. And let's try the breath. The breath is a little bit. I think it's a little bit. I like the object, because the object in you, like once you start to stray and you start thinking about what you didn't eat and what you need to shop for, you can go back to the object, right? It's a thing. You can go back to the object. If you find yourself, but you just train your mind that way. So it's not this metaphysical thing. It's really very black and white. But let's try it with our breath. So with the breath, you're going to get in touch with the breath, and then you're going to notice your heart beating, and just see if you could like descend into that beat of the heart. In other words, like become present for your own heart being. Like we take for granted, like that we're alive and we have lungs and a heart. So let's just focus on the heart and the beating of the heart. Was that harder or easier? It's interesting. Marisa?
I was really noticing the play of the heartbeat that we really don't have a control over, and then the breath that we do, and that kind of way in which there's such companions but also opposites. And so it was just sort of that sense of being with my heart, and then was, oh, am I forgetting to breathe? Well, of course I'm not forgetting to breathe. But then that sense of then tuning into the breath, oh, do I lose track of the heartbeat? And then just eventually allowing all that head stuff to fall away and to come into that trust that says, of course, these systems do work all the time. What is it? Are they are and are not different when I consciously pay attention? But really eventually just sort of allowing that sense of feeling the heartbeat as being something that's within the entire body. Like it, of course, it's so hard, it's at the center of our chest, but really then saying, oh, maybe in the same way of, as Sue was saying, becoming the object becomes me. It's that sense of like the whole body is the heart because it's obviously, pulsing and we're constantly influenced by it, but like feeling within my own heart metaphysically, but also just in a very pure way of like, oh, there it is. Every part of me is beating with it. And that just felt like a very like way of coming home, but also a novel way of being present with myself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's it's shocking that we're not that aware, right? It's a great example of how our lives are so distracting, that like this miracle of a body is just happening all the time. And it's not that we take it for granted. There's just so much, when I was doing it, I was noticing too that my heart is between my lungs, and like there's not that much space in there, and how can it just run the whole show, but also the oxygen in it, it's just like unbelievable. It's such and I'm in awe of how it works. And actually, as we get further into doing a little of this, the beating of the heart, like during the meditation, can actually be a doorway into a much more expanded place where you lose the sense of I, and you become a greater you, a more expanded you, where the mind is not running, but you're allowing the pulsation. I think you could remind me, but every time we meet, we could just spend maybe 10 minutes doing this, because as collectively, my other emphasis is that collectively we can embody this a lot quicker, or a lot more. It's more potent if we do it collectively. And but what I thought to myself too is that now when I wake up, I'm really going to spend just 2 minutes, you know, appreciating and honoring my body and how it's serving me in this moment in time, being present with my body and my breath. So I think it's anybody else?
I just wanted to add, in my Qigong class, we're doing the heart breathing this week. And the sound that we do is ha, so the breath of the chanting, and even whispering and nurturing the heart and being one with the breath and the heart. So it's very timely, but it's
Yeah.
very warming. But
Yeah.
yeah, so just an easy ha.
What the thing about this too is to really surrender into the present moment and allow ourselves to be part of the tapestry of all that is around us brings us to the closest extraterrestrial place outside of the planet is the stars, right? We look up at the stars, we see it blinking, and we're sort of also so flippant about it, like, oh yeah, there's the stars. But like, it's just also to be present with the greater reality that every star has like a thing going around it, planets or a solar system, or certain ones, do this, certain other ones do that. So like just to be, I thought that we would lay in the star formation, because I think outside of this reality that we're in, like say we could call the next dimension, say just for describing what I'm talking about, say our 3D world is three-dimensional, and like to really practice being present and surrendering to more means that we could really touch a more subtle energies and experience more subtle energies and actually become aware of a greater aura, rather than the one that's, trying to keep up with life and do this, that, and the other thing. I mean, we can advance in that way right now. I think it's a very timely, it's very timely at this moment. And so it's very interesting too in Peru, like, we have the Milky Way. So the Milky Way we see, and they say we have the stars, right, that create the Milky Way, and you see it there. And like with my guide, when I was telling him, oh, look at that, look at the Milky Way. And he sees the Milky Way with the spaces. The spaces create the form of the Milky Way, not the stars, which is kind of an example of people that live and breathe with nature. Like they breathe the corn, they breathe the earth, they breathe the mountains, and so everything is part of a greater space. So I think that we could use the Chumpies and this time together to really practice it. Even in the future, we could just do like 10 minutes of something like this to start, because I think it is the most important thing right now that we could be focusing on, being present, hearing the noise, being present, but also not disconnecting. I mean, they say that in the olden days, they'd go into a temple or a hill and you wouldn't see them for 30 days and then they'd come out. Well, we don't do that nowadays. So what can we do to be in our life but also be present at the same time? And the part of the work of the Chumpies illumination is to illuminate that space so that we could be in a greater reality while we live this hectic life that we're in. So the star is the formation, and yeah, I looked it up in the book. Yeah, so if you don't have the book, doesn't matter. But the star, you would have 5 stones. If you don't have Chumpy stones, any 5 stones. If you don't have stones, don't worry. Just lay down. That's it, and listen. And so 1 stone above your head, 2 here, and then 2 by your feet to form a star. But the important thing is the stone in the middle. So you could put a 6th stone on your heart, and the heart's going to be the center, so we can be present as we tap into a more expanded space. Does that make sense? And I think just listening to your, you could kind of do both while you're laying there. You could listen to the sound and let the sound become you. And you could include the heartbeat as well until the acknowledgement of the heart as the center kind of deepens your access point into a more expanded space. Because eventually the heart really leads into a very creative portal. So, but we want to just listen to the heart, feel it beating, notice that you're in a star formation. Don't try anything. Just listen to the sounds. The sounds actually, this is one of the few times like I prepared all the bowls. They're like, use this one, use that one, use this one, use this. So the sounds kind of chose themselves. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Can you just give a bowl a hit to make sure it's going to sound good for us? I've got all our settings correct. The bowls are special. We want to be able to hear them. Sounds good.
Okay.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, when you're ready, we could meet back here. We have two Jamies. We have two Jamies.
Oh no. I don't know what happened.
One Jamie has a little doggy. I saw the doggy. So interested in the meditation. Um,
Yeah, he was. It was
well, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. Anybody?
I'm not sure if it's my internet connection or yours, Elle, but things are breaking up a little bit on my end. So I'm not, hopefully it's
Oh,
just from here, but
oh,
I am the host of the call. So hopefully we'll stay on. Um, but I'll say while I'm on, I will say it's amazing how much being present is really just about releasing. It's, yeah, I think I've made my own mistake in the past of me because present sounds like present, but it feels like it feels additive. The misconception is that it's additive. It's about doing something and being here. And like but I've just recognized, especially when the feather at the end, it's release and release and release. And if you can keep doing that, then I think I may have found my own way a lot closer to being present. It's just to let go. Oh, thank
Right,
you.
being present and descending,
Mm.
like descent. Even with the sounds, when I do the sounds, it's so interesting for me because the sounds play
Hmm.
me, and it's based on the theme and based on the presence of helpers and the people that are present. And it felt very melodic in a very, I can't explain it. It was melodic, but it was very present is all I could say. There was no like, oh, do this and maybe do that. It was more like, this is the sound, the sound, the sound, the sound. There was no hesitation between sounds. So I think the sounds were present with everyone in the room, everyone here. And the heartbeat I felt was so strong too,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Yeah.
this is like sort of descending into your heartbeat, but then it's the heartbeat of the planet. It's the heartbeat. So, you know, anyway, Sue, I know you have something to say.
I just, in the beginning, I was so very present hearing all the sounds, and then I started to like drop in, and then I could hear the sounds. They were all around, but I felt like I was so in the middle of something that is kind of indescribable. Um, but I wasn't sleeping. I was because I was aware of everything and yet so dropped in. I don't know how to describe that any other way.
I felt the same way. Like in the beginning, I was like, oh, I felt that, or I saw this. And then I was just almost like like you're almost sleeping, but not.
They
Yeah. And
call that
can,
an altered state of consciousness.
ah,
Ah.
ah,
A lot of
that's where
people
I,
do drugs to get there.
yeah. I didn't want to come back.
Oh, there is no back. Every cell like is saturated with it.
And I
So
felt, and I actually saw like molecular cells, like I was looking through a microscope, into cells. Yeah.
I'm excited about this. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Ooh.
So
I found that there, it came up in the beginning when we were doing the earlier meditation of the focusing on a something. There's a game called Double Dodge. Dodge, I think we used to play, and it's where you turn two ropes at the same time and you sort of dance with both feet one at a time. And it could be slow and it could be fast, and it has a certain kind of a dance kind of feeling and an elegant feeling. And the faster heartbeat felt like the jumping was faster, and then it slowed down and it was like a little slower, and it was still so beautiful. And it's a little kind of a chaotic thing because like both ropes turn in and it's like it doesn't get stuck, and it's like, and it felt like a little bit like, is that what life's meaning is all about? That there's all within the chaos, it's a dance, and there's a rhythm to it. Even if we don't see it or understand it, we can still be present, and once we learn to be present, we can enjoy the game, and then our space feels so much more expanded, and like I feel okay, even
mhm.
if I don't understand it completely.
I know that game. That's double Dutch. That's a
Dutch,
Brooklyn double Dutch, and you have to like jump in and just not
and just
think.
like right. And then it works. And somehow it's interesting because the book that I was looking at, I received as a gift, and it has my name on it. And it's interesting that the name is in the middle. It says Honey Pasternak in the middle. And I've had some kind of like a little confusion with my name. Actually, I have two names. My second name, no confusion at all. I know where it's from. I know whom I'm named after, sort of. But my first name, I don't know. And I feel like there's confusion with that, even with the way it's called. Like here in Brazil, I'm a million names. And I know how to respond to them all, but I feel like that confusion still leaves me a little bit like, what's the rhythm of that? I don't understand it, but I could still be present and answer to all.
And that's the point of the whole meditation is not to think about it, but just to leave yourself with the energetic embodiment of it. And that's it. And like I think that we just began, so this will be interesting to continue with our next call, and maybe we'll just start with this. I don't know. We'll see. So, but I see the time is really ticking. So, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Love you all very much. And if anybody has anything to ask or anything about their own individual, experience, just text me or email me or call me. Okay?
Okay.
And I'm sure, Elle, this will be part of the class when you're teaching in a couple of weeks, this kind of that sense of whether you're going to do individual healings or just that it's be part of the class itself, people could really kind of experience this there too, right? And go deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, definitely. So hope to see you in March? No, May. May.
May
Okay.
3rd and 4th. What is time? We are present to this moment. We are here.
Right. Okay. Peace,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Good seeing everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.